using them correctly. Down. All right, let's check out the preposition by now. Now, it can be used to talk about general proximity, so to show that someone is near or close to something else. And it usually means that that thing is right beside it or to the side of something else. Where did you park the car? I parked by the supermarket, okay? So that means I parked near the supermarket. My car is really close to the supermarket. It's probably right next to it. Shannon has an alarm clock by her bed to help her wake up in time. I want to live by the beach one day. So this is easy enough, right? Now, there's a teeny weeny thing that you need to remember here. When by is used with a verb that shows movement, it describes the movement past a person or a place or a thing. So by with a movement verb shows us that something is moving past another thing. I walked by your office this afternoon, but I couldn't see you. So here, walk is a verb that shows movement, right? So I walk past your office. I walk by your office. Now, we also use by to set a time limit. So when by is used with time, it means not later than a certain time. I have to leave for work by 7:30 a.m. I can leave before 7:30 or exactly at 7:30, but I can't leave later than 7:30. If I leave later, well, I'll be late for work. The students have to hand in their assignments by Friday at 4 p.m. Make sure you're home by midnight. Have your parents ever said that to you? So in this lesson here, I actually go into more detail about how we use by to talk about time. So if you want to go a little more deeper on that, click this link here. We can also use by to show who or what is doing something when we're using the passive voice. I'd like my hair to be cut by Maria, please. So this is the passive voice. In English, we use the passive voice or the active voice for different reasons. Actually, I made a lesson on it a few months ago, so it's right here if you are curious about the passive voice. But I'd like my hair to be cut by Maria. So this is the passive voice. The active voice is I'd like Maria to cut my hair. So in the first example, I'm using the passive voice to show that the emphasis is on the action, not the person. The action is the most important thing in the sentence. And we use by to know who or what is doing the action, if it's important. The flowers were delivered by a man I didn't know. The children were frightened by the storm. Now, when you want to explain how an action will be done, you can also use by. So you're saying, what is your method for arriving somewhere? Or getting something done? Or doing something? What is the way that you're going to do it? In all of those different situations, you can use by to explain how. The traffic was so bad, I had to go to work by bike. Okay, so bike was the method that I used to get to work. Another one. I'm losing weight by eating less and exercising more. Improve your strength and balance by practicing yoga. Okay, these are the methods to achieve the outcome. All right, last one, and then we'll practice together, I promise. We can use by with a reflexive pronoun to say that you'll do something alone, okay, or a person is doing something alone. Now, all personal pronouns have a reflexive form in English, right? So we have myself, oneself, ourselves, himself, right? There's quite a few of them. But you can use by with a reflexive pronoun to talk about doing something alone or without any help from anyone else. So you would say by myself, by yourself, by itself, that kind of thing. You can go home. I'm happy to clean up by myself. So that just means that I don't need you. I can clean up on my own. My nephew was ecstatic when he learned that he could ride his bike by himself. Ooh, speaking of reflexive pronouns, let's go back to the preposition with for a moment, because with can also be used with a reflexive pronoun. So remember that with and a person means together, right? So with and a reflexive pronoun, it's kind of like saying together with oneself, right? He had a conversation with himself to work up his confidence before the speech. So he was talking to himself, probably just inside his head, right? You don't have to speak out loud to have a conversation with yourself, right? Cool. So let's look at a few situations where both with and by can be used correctly, but of course, it means the meaning changes. And this is where it can get a little confusing, right? I want you to take your time here. The movie was filmed by Jerry. The movie was filmed with an underwater camera. So I want you to think about what's the difference in the meaning here. Why have we used each of these prepositions and what do they mean in each of these sentences? I want you to pause the video for a moment and write your answer in the comments. Okay, so the first sentence, it uses by to show who was doing the action, who filmed the movie. It was Jerry. But in the second sentence, with tells us what was used to do the filming. So what kind of equipment was used? Well, it was an underwater camera, right? Let's try another one. I saw the lady with the dog. I saw the lady by the dog. So pause the video, think about the difference, try and explain it in the answers, and I'll be down there to check soon. So I hope that you paused and you wrote your answer, because I'm about to tell you it anyway. So in the first sentence, with shows togetherness. The lady and the dog are together, it's probably her dog. But in the second sentence, by tells us the location of the lady. She's near the dog. It could be her dog, but maybe not. We don't really know. Now that you know the rules about these prepositions, you'll be able to read through a few pages of your favorite English book and start to recognize these different uses. Actually, that's a really great way to help you remember what you learned in this lesson, to actually start practicing, looking for these prepositions and trying to understand them. Now, before you go, I've got a few last sentences to practice with you, okay? I'm going to give you some sentences and see if you can choose the correct preposition to go in the blank space, right? So I want you to write your answers in the comments below. I'm going to be down there checking them straight away after this lesson's live. And I don't want you to write just the answer. I want you to tell me why you've chosen that preposition. What's the meaning behind it, right? Here we go. I don't need your help. I can do it myself. Is it by or with? It's by, right? Because we've got a reflexive pronoun here to talk about doing something alone, right? Okay, now it's your turn. What's the preposition?
At least 2 minutes of added time.
With lemons, right? Here's another one. With your burger. So that's together, right? Fries and your burger together. Now, it is possible to say, would you like to order any fries by your burger? Sounds a bit weird though. That just means